is Wednesday, January 24th, 2001. This is Carol Garlow for the Roscommon Area Historical Society. We're at the home of Mrs. Olga Gippert at 936?
9530.
9530 Oakwood in Roscommon. And so first, Mrs. Gippert, we have to make a statement that the table belonged to the Roscommon Area Historical Society. So can you say that?
See what?
This tape will belong.
This table belonged to the Roscommon Historical Society.
Mrs. Gippert, we'll start by having you tell us about your parents, where they were born, and when they came to America.
Oh, my mother came from northern part of Germany. I don't remember the name. It was at that time was East Prussia. My father came from Bohemia in Austria, which the town right now is part of Czechoslovakia. And
do you know when they were born?
my mother was born in 1875, and my dad was born in 1878.
Okay, what was her maiden name?
Her maiden name was Liehne, B-O-H-M-E.
M-E?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And his name?
My father's name was Joseph Liehne.
L-I-E-H-N-E.
Yeah. And they had, I don't remember when they got together or anything, but my oldest brother was born in Leipzig. And my dad was in the Austrian army at the time.
Oh.
And
so when was your oldest brother born?
he was born in 1902.
And his name was?
Paul Joseph. Really, it
So
should
they
be
had
Joseph
gotten
Paul.
married?
In 1901. He was born in 1902.
Did they ever talk about their wedding?
No.
Wonderful.
I didn't get much information there at all.
But you
from
knew
him.
he was in the army.
Oh yeah, that's one reason he
Before
wanted
they were
to.
married?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
He did learn a trade. I guess they all did. The boys all had to learn a trade. His was a tool and die maker, whatever that is.
Uh-huh.
I think one of the reasons they came to this country is that they wanted to get away from the unrest that was going on over there.
At the turn of the century. So that was before World War I.
Oh yeah. They all the young fellows had to go in the army, serve. I don't know how much time, but an awful lot of time. And my father came over a year before my mother did.
Oh.
And meantime, my mother had a good job in a factory over there. And she had her own apartment and furniture and everything.
Really?
And she really liked it over there. But, of course, when you're married, you've got to follow your husband.
Right. Did she have a big family?
She had another child over there and died at 6 months.
Oh.
But they came, I think around 1906 or 1907, they came to America.
Okay.
And they lived in Davenport, Iowa.
Is that where he had gone when he came ahead of her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he'd got a job there. And
Did they know somebody there, or how did they go way over there?
I think somebody sponsored him,
Oh.
just like my father sponsored Herman Bertle,
Oh.
Sr.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, they lived in Davenport for 5 years. Paul went to school there, and my mother worked in a bakery, and my father worked for a railroad company.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess, well, he had trouble with his eyes, so he wanted to quit working in the factory. And he heard about this big opportunity of farming here in Michigan. He also had a friend that coaxed him up here.
Who was that? Do you know?
Yeah, his name was Kirsch. He probably knows in Crawford County there. But I think he also knew him in Germany. I don't know for sure, but I think he did. Well, they came up here, and they bought a parcel of land. It's called the Van Sickle Hill.
Where's that?
Well, it's on Bayer Road.
Oh,
You know where that is?
yeah, near
it's-
the north end of the lake.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much did they buy, do you know?
I don't know if it's 20 acres or more. It was a good 20 acres or more. I don't remember. I don't know just how much he had there because I think he sold some of it. But it had a house on it, but it wasn't finished. It had 3 rooms at the time, and they added on a porch and another workroom and a garage.
Oh,
And
he was
the,
a carpenter too.
well,
Probably.
he was a man of all trades.
Sure.
And
So what, do you know what year they came here?
around, let's see, must have been around 1913, 12
Okay.
or 13,
Mhm.
because my second brother, his name was Carl, was born at that time, around 1913.
Okay, and it's Carl with a K.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They, he worked at the forestry at the north end of Higgins Lake in the spring and in the fall. And in summertime, he did odd jobs for the resorters around the lake. There was 3, I don't know what you'd call them, but there was a Pine Woods camp and the Cottage Grove camp,
Oh,
and the
Palm Association.
it is afterwards into association. Yes, he worked for different ones there at the lake, digging docks and doing carpentering work and raking leaves and all just odd jobs. Mother, she took in washings, 3 or 4 each week for these resorters, and she also did some cottage cleaning.
Think of what a hard work that was.
Yeah. And at first, we didn't have any water in the home. And the well, it was up on the hill, and it was hard to dig a well. So I had
bet
quite a
that's
time
been
digging
hard.
a well, yeah.
Right.
But after, meantime, we hauled the water in a wagon, a little wagon, and the wash boiler, and I don't know what the other was, a big tub of some sort there. I remember having to push uphill, on the sand. This was all sand trails. It wasn't roads.
Oh, yeah.
It was sand
Well,
trails.
you must have had horses.
No, not right away. He dug a garden behind the house there. It wasn't very big, but he grew vegetables and sold it to the dining hall.
No
In
kidding.
the
So
summertime.
he grew a lot of vegetables.
Well, quite a few.
Yeah.
He also, during the years, he also grew corn, and he had planted some apple trees. Not very many, a few. I remember the red apples, or the Gold Delicious apples, and the plum tree. And they planted raspberry bushes and strawberries and grapevine. We also had a gooseberry bush, and I didn't care for that at all. Mother did some canning, of course, and he raised a lot of chickens.
Oh.
He built a chicken house in the back there, and it was quite a large one. And Mother would have a little incubator. I guess they call it an incubator, a little red hen incubator.
Sure.
She had it in the house and back in the bedroom there. I can still remember her turning the eggs every day and seeing that it was warm in there. And
Sure.
As kids, we had fun watching the chickens hatch.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that a neat thing to watch?
And after they were hatched, why, they had another little, it wasn't an incubator, but it was a place where the chicken could keep warm and,
Yeah,
and they
oh,
could
that's
feed until they got feathers. And then they put them outside,
Oh.
But, yeah, let's see. They sold the eggs, and I remember that. And some chicken, too, for sometimes to the resorters there. One family liked
Then where did your brother, by the time they came here, Paul was old enough to go to school. Where did he go
Oh,
to
yes,
school?
he went to school as called the Sims School at that time, but it's also called the Lake School, and it's Higgins Lake Drive and Pine Woods on that corner.
Oh, okay.
He I don't remember the name of his teacher. So he'd already gone to school in Davenport.
Oh, okay.
And then he came up here, graduated. Of course, when he got through school, he worked with his dad at the forestry.
Oh, okay.
He was just a young child.
Oh, as a
but
teenager he worked there?
yeah. After that, he went to Detroit and worked. The first job was with the city department doing what they call yard work or
Public work?
public works, yes.
So he graduated from high school here?
No, I didn't graduate from high school. He graduated from 8th grade
From 8th grade, at that same school?
at that school.
Didn't go to high school then?
No.
Then when were you born?
Well, I was born 4th of July, 1917. I was born here at the farm home, and my brother was born there also 4 years earlier, Carl.
Carl.
So we both went to school at the same schoolhouse. I had the same teacher for the first 7 grades.
Oh, wow.
She was
No
almost like a
kidding.
mother to me.
What was her name?
Jane Walters.
Jane Walters.
Mm-hmm.
And are you saying Sim School, S-I-M-M?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There was a neighbor next, not too far. Their name was Sims, and they were an old timers too. See, we're always
How many other students were there in your,
well,
with you?
in my class, there was 4, but there's about 15 children from the
building.
first through the 8th grade. Yeah.
So 4 in a class, well, you were a pretty big class.
Well, I started out with just 1 because I went to school just at 4 years of age, and I only went in the spring and in the fall because I was too young to
Go out in the
go
winter?
through the snow.
No
Yeah, it was too
kidding.
deep snow. I couldn't walk through that. So a couple of years there, I didn't only went in the spring and in the fall. And by that time, there was another student, and then after that, I caught up with 2 others. So there was 4 in the class.
Great.
Yeah, 4.
Who were they? Do you remember?
Jane Zell Nellis,
Okay.
Nancy Aubrey. You know, it's Sheba's sister, oldest
Okay.
sister. Ted Moore. Yeah, those are the 4 and me. There was 4 of us that graduated together from. And when we were in the 7th grade, we had to go to town to write our exams to pass into the next grade.
That
And
was scary.
The first time we wrote our exams in, I think it was a Methodist church that was across from the school, high school there. But I think the following year it burned down.
Okay.
Yeah, that right now the Masonic Hall is.
Is the hot spot.
Yeah. In the 8th grade, I wrote my exam at the high school. Anyway,
So that
we
passed you to the 8th grade, but you still were at the Sim School for the 8th grade.
Well,
But you had to pass this test to get
test
into the 8th.
8th grade, and the same for 8th grade to the 9th grade.
Oh, wow.
Well, at that time, the consolidated school was voted in.
Oh, sure.
So I could go right ahead and go to high school.
Wow.
And my brother Carl started school again then too. He had stopped going to school.
Oh,
And then
okay.
he started school again with me. So we
Oh.
graduated together.
Oh, isn't that nice? So you went the 4 years together. So what year was that? 30,
Well, I graduated in 34.
34 you did. Very good.
Yeah. And let me shut her off a bit.
Okay, we were going to talk a little bit about some of the good memories from Mrs. Walters, the teacher.
Oh, she's almost like a second mother to me, but she used to come and we'd play games outdoors at noon or at recess. One year we had her husband put up a maypole with colored streamers, and we danced around that. That was something different
Sure.
for us country kids.
Did you have, I assume you had to carry your lunch.
Well, yes, we carried our lunch from at home. And in the wintertime, for a couple of there where the families would bring in a lunch, either soup or chili or something for a hot lunch.
Oh, nice. Everyone took turns?
And we took turns, and for, I don't remember now just how many winters, but it's quite a few winters.
Sure.
And I remember having to carry a big kettle of soup.
Yeah, were you like,
About a
more
mile.
than a mile away or about
About a mile away.
Yeah.
And if there was anything left, there was an old bachelor that lived on the corner. He would get what was left. He was sure appreciated. We just call him Jimmy Dilly.
Jimmy Dill. Neat.
Yeah.
That was nice of you to share with him.
Well, there's always plenty there, yeah. But no, I really enjoyed my childhood there with the
Were there plenty of
children.
books for all of you?
And plenty of reading. That was my big downfall. I just loved to read.
Well,
Everything I got a hold of, I read.
That shouldn't be a downfall, that's a blessing.
And when my oldest brother went to work, he'd buy books and send them home. Zane Grey and James Elric Herwood's books, you know.
Sure.
You know,
Did you
just
ever
what
meet him?
eyes- No, no. But I think I spoiled my eyes on reading because I had to wear glasses ever since I was 13 years old.
Yeah, you were an avid reader then.
And the lights we had at home, we had gasoline lanterns and lamps.
Oh.
We had no electricity, never had electricity as long as I was home. And my mother used a gasoline iron.
No kidding.
And
Sounds dangerous.
I still have one iron left. When she did the washings there for a long time, she did it all by hand and boiled the clothes. And the first washer was a wooden washer, I remember that. And that didn't last too long. Then my dad got a gasoline run washer, which was a lot better.
Sure. Think of what if she saw what you have today.
Oh,
Wouldn't that be something?
that'd be great if
That
she
work
knew
that they
that.
did.
Yeah, a lot of hard work.
Oh, I guess. Well, your mother must have been cheerful.
Well, she's an awful quiet person, but
Was
she
Did her job.
always worked hard. I helped her with some of the ironing when I was a little bit older, but all I could do was flat work. Pillowcases and iron towels. Can you beat that?
Sheets, used to iron a sheet.
They were a little too large for the ironing board that I had. I had a smaller one that laid on a table. But she used to starch the men's shirt collars and the women's uniforms, you know.
A lot of hard work.
I'll shut it off.
Do you remember your mother asking or talking about hearing from her family back in the old country?
Well, the only time she wrote or heard from them was around Christmas time. They never sent Christmas cards, but they always wrote to each other. And that was sort of the only way they kept in touch.
Was that a big event, like when she would get
A letter.
Did she share that with
They
you right
all-
away?
They always, and they sent some pictures at the same time,
Oh,
so they
nice.
kept in touch that way, yes.
Sure.
She wrote mostly to her husband's folks in Leipzig, but I don't remember.
How
of
big
her.
a family did he come?
I think there were 6 in the family. One brother died in the First World War, and the oldest brother, got killed in the Second World War.
So was your father the only one that came to America?
Yes, he's the only one, and the rest were, well, 2 sisters that they kept in touch with. The other 3 all had died when they were young,
Gee.
as well, either infants or a few years old.
Different life, wasn't it?
Oh, well, mother never went to a doctor until until Carl was born, I guess, was the first time she had a doctor.
That's something.
But,
Did she say what ship she came across?
no.
Did she ever talk about that?
yeah, she talked about it. She says She was sick the whole time she was on the boat.
Did they come to
And-
Ellis Island?
I imagine Paul was, what, 4 or 5 years old, up on the deck with the people
Playing.
playing.
She was down below.
But she was terribly sick all the way over, and that took over a week.
Okay.
Yeah, the trip took about a week. But
So your family stayed at that house on Bear?
well, after they came up here, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they made
Did you
their,
still live there when you graduated from high school?
yeah.
Okay. And then, your brother Paul, I think you told me he bought some property?
That was after he'd worked quite a while in Detroit. He bought some property at Lion Manor, Higgins Lake area. And
Oh, on the other side of the lake.
but they never built over there. He finally had to sell it here late years. But let's see. Like I said, there was about 15 children there at the Sims school, at the grade school. There were the families from the Zettles. There's 3, and the Aubreys there was 2. Kyle's took care of the one of the camps.
How are you spelling that?
Kile.
Oh, just like it sounds.
Mm-hmm. The Williamses took care of the Cottage Grove camp. The Ciscos took care of the Pine Woods camp. Then there were the Moores and the Johnsons and of course the Liehnes. And the Johnsons, they farmed also. They had quite a few cows.
Was that Johnny Johnson's parents?
John, no,
Okay.
no. Walter Johnson, if you remember
Oh.
Walter Johnson.
I've heard that name.
And Ellen Carlson, Ellen and Elsie. And Ellen Carlson, Ellen. But, what I gotta write down here? Let me shut that off. I figure where we're at. In high school, we rode the bus, of course. We had to walk up over the hill to catch the bus every morning.
Did you like that?
Well, it was all right as long as you were there on time,
Yeah.
because the bus wouldn't wait for you too long. And in the wintertime was kind of hard because the snow was
Sure.
pretty deep. Like I said, my brother went to finished high school at the same time, and I liked all the studies. We had.
Was it hard for you? Did it seem
Well,
hard?
the first year was kind of hard. The first thing I couldn't see very well. I had to have glasses, and I didn't get my glasses. But after I got my glasses, I could see the blackboard.
That was a big
That would
I'm
help.
Sure.
We had the usual subjects in history and English lit and algebra and geometry. But the best subjects was home ec. I took 1 year of sewing and 1 year of cooking. And
Had you sewn already at home?
no, I was only 12, 13 years old at that
Oh,
time.
okay. Was your mother, did she have a machine?
She had a machine, and well, we did little sewing. She did very little sewing. Well, she
Probably
didn't-
just to mend.
well, to mend, and there wasn't that much money to buy material. But I remember her making several dresses for me. Well, the first dress is a blue poplin, and with that a white collar. But then she made a dress for my doll, the same thing.
Oh, I bet you liked that.
That was one of the big.
Sure. What kind of doll? Do you remember what kind of doll?
Well, it was kind of an expensive doll. It wasn't too tall, probably maybe 12 inches high or so. But I don't remember too much about it, except it had real pretty hair, curly hair, long hair.
That you could comb?
Well, I probably
There was-
did. But I also had long hair. And when they cut my hair, I cut the doll's hair.
Oh,
And that made my mother just devastated.
oh dear.
Because I had paid so much money for that doll, you know. 'Cause that is, I can remember that as plain as
I
day.
bet you can.
But anyway,
So who was your home ec teacher?
her name was Ines Fox. I-N-E-Z Fox. She was there quite a few years. She also taught history, I believe, world history. But I liked all my subjects, though. And of course, I wasn't the brightest one, but
So how many were in your graduating class?
I think there were about 19.
Well, that was nice.
It was the
Nice
largest class
up to
that
point.
far, yeah.
Mhm.
I may be wrong on that, but it was around 19. I've got a picture of it somewhere. I graduated in 1934. I remember
Remember the commencement? and
the
everything?
commencement, yeah. Somebody gave me a kitten, I think it was, for a gift. A
live kitten?
live kitten, yeah, little
No
one.
kidding.
But anyway, after that, I worked 2 summers. I worked at a lodge at Higgins Lake,
Which lodge?
the Sonoma, or
Oh,
Paul
Sonoma
Lippert's.
Lodge.
Yeah,
Who owned that?
Lippert's, Paul Lippert,
Oh, okay.
his folks.
Okay.
I did everything but cooking. Even helped prepare meals, but did the cleaning and what needed to be done, washing, whatever they had need to be done. Change the bedding, clean the
Did you
rooms.
stay right there?
Yeah, all summer.
Well, that was pretty nice too,
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
it?
it was nice. I didn't make much money, but I enjoyed it
Boy, sure.
because I got to meet a lot of the people, and of course I served them, at the tables. And
And your mother was still working at the campsite by then?
no, by that time she had quit. She wasn't feeling well. What was bad was 6 months after my brother and I had graduated, he died.
Who died?
Brother Carl,
Oh, your brother died. Oh, okay.
in 1934. Well, it was the first day of January 1935, really.
For heaven's sakes, what happened to him? Or you don't have to say.
Yeah, he had a sickness.
Oh.
And
So he was still living at home?
no, he had gone to the CC camp, had joined at that time. That was a going thing.
Oh, sure.
And he was up at Marquette in the Upper Peninsula.
Oh,
He
did
came
he die
home.
up there?
No, he came home at Thanksgiving, and he was so sick then that he didn't go back. And he went to Detroit. That's where he died, in the hospital in Detroit. And a year later, my mother died in 35, in November, yeah. And my father was 5 years later. So then I didn't have him too long.
That was right. Then were you still living in that house? then?
No, by 1934 I got married that fall.
Married.
Yeah, after I got done working down there, because
Well, we'll get into that, but what happened to their house then?
their house for a while was empty, and I let Paul have that because I couldn't take it, didn't do me any good. And it was sold. I think it's been sold 2 or 3 times now.
So it's still there?
It's still there, and it's been remodeled. It's
Oh.
still there.
Okay.
And it looks like a junk pile now, though, because they got a pole barn there, and I don't know what all.
But it's really an old house.
It's
then.
an old house.
Wow.
But
Well, then we can go on to you met Mr.
Well,
Gippert.
yeah, well,
What's his first name?
Oliver.
Oliver. Oh, 2 O's. Ola?
Well, yeah.
Olga?
Uh,
Then was
we-
he from here?
His folks also came over from Sweden, but they were married they knew each other in Sweden, but they were married in Elgin, Illinois. And I don't know just when they came up here, about the same time as my folks, I think. Oliver was 4, I think, when they came up, and Hilda was 7. That's a sister.
So you had a sister-in-law and a sister named Helga.
No.
No, your husband had a sister,
My
and your
husband's
brother was married to a
to her.
Helga. That's neat, isn't it?
Yeah, we were married in 34 and they were married in 35.
Wow.
The reason we got together is as young teenagers, or at least I was, and my brothers, and with another German family, used to go to dances once in a while on Saturday nights at
sure.
Lion Manor.
Oh, okay.
And that's where we met, got together, met,
Uh-huh.
and we started going together, playing cards on Saturday nights, or
Uh-huh.
maybe go to a show, or just kept company.
Where would you go to the show?
Grayling.
In Grayling. So now, at that point, would he have had his own car?
Yeah.
Or a family car?
Yeah. The family, the early time, had a Model T runabout, like what was like a little truck. I don't know what you'd call it, a sedan. But anyway, it had a box in the back. But he traded that in for a bigger truck later on. But when Paul started working, of course, he got a car then, a Chevrolet was.
Detroit.
He was in Detroit, so got a car. And there for a while, he came home and stayed home for a while also. That's when we got together. He was home for a few years before he went back again. Well, anyway, that's how we got together, and kept company for several years before we got married.
You were married in 34?
In 34, yeah. I was quite young, but my brothers were older, and the neighbors that we associated with, they were a little bit older they were more my brother's age.
So you were hanging around with the older older group.
Yeah. Well, the others were too young.
Sure.
They just didn't fit in.
Yeah.
For some reason, they were too kiddish or something. I don't know.
You were used to your older brothers.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
So now, what did your husband's family do for work when he came here then? Did they homestead too? Did they buy?
When they came up here, I don't know if they homestead. I don't think so, because they bought the place. I don't remember for sure.
What was his first name?
Oscar.
Oscar.
But they came up for the same reason, to farm.
To farm.
And they did. They had a lot of cows. And you probably see the picture in the paper here a while back. They had a picture of his oxen. He's a great one for training oxen.
Oh, okay.
And they grew potatoes and sold potatoes. They sold creams and creamery. And
Now, where was the property that they bought? This right here?
no, it's over behind here on Burdell Road.
On Burdell.
Yeah. It's an empty house now.
Oh, right at where the curve comes?
Yeah.
Just south, right off of Oakwood.
Yeah,
Okay.
around the curve there. But it's on the Burdell Road.
That's the Gippert farm. But they bought that, it was there before.
I don't know. No, there was no farm there.
He built that house then.
He built, I've got a picture of that. It was just a small shack they lived in the first year. And then they added on later. But they farmed. They grew hay and
So they were successful then. They were able to make a living on that.
hardly.
Just
Very
barely.
bare.
Yeah.
Very scant living. They sold potatoes, I know, and they'd pick huckleberries this summer and ship it to Chicago.
Okay.
And
What was her first name?
Ingeborg,
Oh.
Ingeborg. And they sold some of their livestock meat once in a while, but it was very scant living. But Oliver had graduated from the Wayne School. Of course, he went and worked in the forestry for a while too, before he got a job with the Road Commission,
Oh, okay.
and worked on that.
Then did he not go to high school?
No, he didn't go to high school either.
And did his sister go?
1 year.
1 year.
Her and Nellie McCready were great buddies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she stayed in town, but I guess she didn't like it for some reason or other.
Who did she stay with? Do you remember?
The Orchids.
Oh, okay, right across the street
Yeah,
from the school.
and They were very
Strict.
strict.
I would
Well,
say,
not
or-
strict, but they didn't eat very well. One of this and one of that, you know.
They were very careful.
They were very careful. But anyway, she didn't like it too well there. I don't know why.
Well, think about how young she was.
Yeah.
Just a ninth grader, is only 13 years old.
Yeah. So it's where were we?
Well, Oliver, you said worked for the
Yeah, he worked for the state road.
state.
for-
Then where did you and he live?
Well, when we first got married, we lived right here. We built a garage. Lived in that for a couple of years
Oh.
before we started building this house.
How much acreage did you buy?
He bought, this was 20 acres, and he bought it in 1927, quite a few years before we got married.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
had that
bought
a
it
while.
a long time.
Did that
And-
come up to his parents'
No,
property?
no, not
Not
quite.
quite, but
It was kitty
close.
corner, yeah. Yeah, it was only short distance between, flip back to the two corners, you could
Sure.
almost, but he's, well, at that time, the first year he was married, he lost his job on account of politics. He was
With the state?
with the states. He had to either be Democrat or Republican. He was
Oh,
Republican,
gee.
so he lost his job. So in the meantime, he went ahead and got up logs out of the Sawmill River,
No
pulled them
kidding.
and dried them, and the Ackling brothers sawed them up. So most of this house is all rough lumber.
No kidding.
And we
What
finished.
did he get him out with?
I don't know how they hauled him out. They must have hired a horse or something to pull,
Isn't
hook them
that
and pull
something?
them up. Yeah, they dried them on the banks. I remember telling them about them, dragging them up on the bank and then hauling them over to
Where was that mill?
the mill. Well, it's on, we call it Vinegar Hill now,
Oh,
in that
Yeah.
area.
And
Yeah.
when you're saying Eckling, is that E-C-K?
Oh,
A.
Ackling. I don't
Okay.
know if it's Ackling or Ackling. Ackling, I think it is, Ackling
Okay.
Brothers. But he finished this as it's a 24 by 24. Finished the 2 rooms in front. We lived in that. And each year we'd finish another room. And later on we added on the bathroom, and much later we added on the big front room here. He wanted to build a porch, and I says, what good's a porch do us? In the winter time we can't use it.
Yeah, really.
So
We have long winters.
decided that, I guess I was the one that decided that.
You had a little influence there.
Well, with 4 children, you needed more room, you know.
That's right. Okay.
The upstairs.
What did he do after he did the logging?
He got odd jobs around. He built a few chimneys. He had already taken a course in Chicago for brick building, I guess. In fact, we wanted to build a brick home.
Oh.
But the time he dug the basement, the building, why the brick walls had broken cracks, so they were uneven, and we couldn't build a brick. It had to be straight.
top,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, we got to build stucco instead. But
You had talked about that his parents were married in Elgin, but they came here from Chicago?
no, from Elgin.
Oh, from Elgin, because you said you just said something about Chicago.
Well, that's where.
You're concerned.
Well, see, after Oliver got out of grade school, sometime in there, he went to Chicago for a while to get this course in brick building and that,
okay.
which wasn't very long. So, but he lived in Chicago at that time. I don't know how
Oh, he
or
was.
that's before we were married.
Right, before your time, huh? Oh.
But okay, what?
Okay, so you have lived in this house a long time then?
66 years.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Well, can you tell us a little bit about your own children?
Well, I had Ronald and Paul. They were almost like twins. then there was Lois. She came along about 5 years later, and Carl came along about 7 years later.
Oh, so they straggled a little bit after the two
Yeah,
bing
well,
bang, huh?
That was getting to be too much, I guess. And they had the usual childhood. We had the animals. We had cows at that time, and we had
Dairy cows that you milked
yeah,
or beef?
and both.
Both.
We had beef and dairy cows, and we had pigs. And we had a horse that all the kids rode. We got him as a pony.
Did you like to ride?
I never, I was
Never got
scared.
on
I
it.
was scared of all them animals. But I managed somehow or other.
Uh-huh.
We pastured the land across the road.
Oh,
At that time, we rented it, and pastured it for the animals.
so did you always just have, how many acres you had there?
This is 20. We bought another 10 there, but then we also bought other property.
Oh, okay.
That,
But you had the animals right here by the house?
right here,
Uh-huh.
the barns there, and yes,
Okay.
and we raised chickens one summer. I had
Oh,
chickens,
geez.
and that didn't work very good because we didn't have a decent place for them.
Didn't have it set up right.
And a lot of garden. He planted corn for the animals. He built a silo and had corn and hay and lots of vegetables. The kids, they helped with the garden.
Sure. Now, your
Uh,
folks were gone by then, but
oh,
did
yeah.
Did you have a close relationship with his parents? Did they help
Well,
you, or did you help each other?
Quite a bit, yes. He helped his folks an awful lot. They did help some when Oliver didn't have work. He helped us with milk. And,
Did his sister continue to live here?
she was older than Oliver, and she worked in Detroit.
Did she marry?
They were married in 35. Her and Paul were married 35, and she was still.
Another
She was.
Paul.
Hmm?
She married a man named Paul?
Yeah, that's my brother.
Oh, okay. Oh, they were all connected. Okay. I never got that. Oh, dumb. Oh, now I'm getting it. Well, no
Yeah.
wonder they're all close together here. I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, well, I did a lot of canning, and
Oh, I bet you did.
children
When
helped.
did you start doing all your needlework, knitting and all that? Did you do that since you're young?
No, I didn't like to do that when I was young at all. With my early marriage years, I joined the home extension.
Oh.
And I must have been with that about 10, 15 years. And
That's a nice thing,
we did
though.
a lot of crafts. I made my own lampshades. I don't know what all I made, a lot of things.
Sure.
Learned to knit. My husband knit.
Did he?
He knit better than I could, but I crocheted.
Did you braid rugs and that kind of
Oh,
stuff?
yeah, lots of rugs. In fact, I got some around here yet. But that was a very enjoyable time. Summertime, we go to the lake at the state park and had picnics. And took our dinner down there and had with his folks.
Mhm. Well, that was nice.
Yeah, we did lots of things together. He helped him a lot with the haying and that over there too, getting up the wood.
Did Helga and Paul come up in the summer then?
He had vacation once for probably 1 or 2 weeks in the summertime. When the year after they were married, Kay was born, and Helga had a rough time, and she stayed up here with us. They had built a little cabin, stayed with us during the summer months for a couple of summers, and then they took that same cabin and moved it down to the property that she had bought a while back.
At Robinson
Lake
Lake
Road.
Oh, that was
And
neat.
they added on to that.
Did they have more children?
No,
eventually?
they only had the one
Just
child,
Kay.
yeah. And she's still living, but she's Down syndrome, some child. They'd come up summertime, vacations, and of course we associated that. Got together with them a
Oh,
lot.
sure, that was nice.
But
Then where did your first boys, was the Wayne School still? No, that wasn't.
All my children caught the bus to go to the consolidated school.
Oh, okay.
All
Your husband played the accordion?
Yeah, he played by ear.
Just
And
on
so
his
did
own,
his
huh?
father, too.
Oh,
They all know, they played
When you went to
Swedish.
his dance halls, did he
Oh,
play?
sometimes.
Did
you
he?
know, Oh, yeah.
Did you still do that after you were married?
Go to dances?
Uh-huh.
Not very often.
Not-
No.
Because the family came.
Yeah,
Yeah.
had children, you couldn't do too much of that.
Yeah.
We did go to a show a couple of times. I know the boys would talk about going to the Pines Theater, Holton Lake.
Oh,
But,
did you ever go out to the Richardson School for dance?
no,
No.
no.
Edith Barber talked about that in
Yeah.
one of her recollections.
Oh, well, that was another group.
Well, and that was a long way, I thought,
Too
for them to
far.
go out of town, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But-
so your son Carl,
When he was,
did he pick up the accordion too?
no, he didn't, but I think he was in the fourth grade. And he got to play, what was that horn? I can't remember.
A clarinet?
A small flugelhorn, sort of. And he liked that, and he liked the music. And the teacher, I don't remember his name, but he wanted him to play, can't think of it. Anyway, he ended up with a saxophone. We got him a saxophone. My husband wanted him to play the saxophone, so that's what he did. Well, it's from the fourth grade on. He'd been in the music.
Yeah.
And when Mr. Verbrickmos came, of course, he was all for him, you know. They really got together. They just couldn't get too apart hardly. But he got to be drum major. I remember having to fix his pants because he was so tall.
Yeah.
Legs in his arm sleeves and pant legs. But he was drum major through high school. And he won, I don't know, 2 or 3 scholarships anyway. And we sent him off to Mount Pleasant. And that's where he...
So he got his bachelor's at Mount Pleasant?
Yeah, he got his...
Teaching certificate.
He started teaching before he even graduated.
Did he really?
Yeah, they wanted him in Saginaw. He taught at Hemlock, that's just out of Saginaw. I don't know how many, 10 years at least. And now he's at Farmington Hills,
Oh.
and he's supposed to
I
retire.
was
But
gonna say, he must be getting ready to
Yeah,
retire. Is he
he's-
still band director?
oh yeah, he's been there 30 years.
No
I mean,
kidding.
it's been 30 years now. Yeah, he's supposed to retire, but he has a part-time assistant now, and then trying to break him in, I guess. But
Well, he had a wonderful career with that.
oh yeah, he also married a gal from Roseville, Detroit, and she was in the music. So, and she's still teaching music too.
Wow.
And they have one child, one girl, and she's up at Marquette. She's a mechanical engineer.
Is she
Has her
talented?
master's.
Must be talented musically, though.
No,
No.
she plays different instruments, but
Yeah.
she's
Not the love of her life.
She isn't that. And she just got married here this last year.
Oh, nice.
You know. The oldest boy went to college, I think 2 years, and got married, and worked. He got associated with John Deere Company,
Oh.
and he worked through that company anyway, he ended up in Marlette. I don't know where all he worked at Lapeer and
That's where he retired.
he retired at Marlette. And they had 6 children, and
And Paul had 2.
Paul had 2. Now Paul, when he graduated from high school, he went to work in Flat Rock, I believe, I don't remember the company, but he also was in the Army for 2 years. And then he got married. He worked for Jim Kudlow, builder at the Lion Manor area. I think he worked for him for about probably 10 years before he went out on his own. He took courses at the Kirkland College as an electrician and plumbing and all that. They were married, and they had, well, like I said, they had the two boys, and both the boys are married.
Well, he certainly is an excellent builder.
And, well, he's retired now. And Lois, my daughter, she graduated high school, and she went to Lansing, and she worked for Bell, with the Bell Telephone for a while. And then she went to work for trailer companies that made house trailers. She liked to do mechanical work.
So the mechanic shows up in the different generations here.
She helped with the wiring and putting up shades and all that sort of stuff, you know. She married and had 3 boys. Of course, they all have children now, too.
So how many great-grandchildren do you have?
Altogether, I think I have 29.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Just think you and Oliver started all that.
Something.
He started something.
You'd be surprised what he started.
Oh. Well, can you recall when you were growing up and even in your young married life, what did you go mostly to Roscommon to buy your dry goods? And that kind of thing?
We
What
used
did
to
you
go
do for
to
shopping?
Grayling because they had an AP store up there.
Oh,
They
okay.
didn't have that in Roscommon that time. The only stores in Roscommon where my folks used to go by, it's Kylie and Gibbons. And A.J. Price had a store, but we didn't go there that much. Sly's, that was McConkey's dry goods store. The drugstore, I think, was owned by DeWales, I'm not sure. And there was a post office and a newspaper office there. There was another grocery store run by Overmeyer. I don't know what his first name was. They also had S.C. Chase was on the corner there by the railroad track. Claude the Rock, of course, and then there's the Ford garage that Herman Burl Sr. had.
Oh, yeah. Let's go back to your father sponsored.
My father and Herman Burl Sr. were friends from Austria, as they lived about 5 miles apart as boyhood friends. They were married. They were also married in Germany. I think his wife came from the southern part of Germany somewhere. I don't know, just the place. But I was going to talk about.
So, sponsoring him to come
Oh,
over.
yeah. Well, that I don't know about now, but at that time, someone that lives over in America here had to sponsor a friend or whoever they wanted to come over. So he did sponsor Herman. And,
After they lived here, or still from Iowa?
they were in Iowa at that time.
Oh, so they
and the
came-
Bertles also lived in Iowa and in that area.
Oh, okay.
They moved around a lot because he traveled a lot. He also worked for the railroad company. But
Mr. Bertle did, you
yeah,
mean?
he was an engineer. He had a good education because he was the only child in the family, and they were able to give him a good education.
In Austria.
Yeah. So, and of course, he traveled a lot in Austria also before
Was
he
he
came
older
here.
than your dad a little bit?
No, they're about the same age. Yeah. And they lived, well, they kept in touch. The families kept in touch quite a bit. Yeah. And
Then they came to Roscommon also, didn't they?
yes, I think it was after my folks came, because they stayed with my folks for a while till they found a place to live. And somehow or other, I don't remember what his name was. He was a blacksmith in town. He was a colored man. There was a colored family in town. Miller, I think, was his name. Had a blacksmith shop. And I think Herman sort of took that over and built up this business. And I sent Frank, I guess, to school. And I don't know about the other boys. Herman, I'm not sure if Herman was born in Germany also. I'm not too sure, but Frank was. Fritz was born in Davenport, in Iowa. I know that. And I think the boys, I'm not sure, I think the other two boys were born here. There's Rudy and Ernie. I think they were born here at Roscommon. I'm not sure about that, but and then there was Mary and Raymond. But
When you were raising your family, were you still card playing people with the
Oh,
neighbors
yes.
and all that? What kind of cards did you play?
well, Pedro and
Oh.
I don't know. Not Pinochle. Pedro was a big card game. We had several friends that like the Kumlos and the Klutz.
What was the first name you said?
The Kumlos, they lived at Hawaiian Manor.
How do you spell that?
Kuhnloh, I don't know, any Kumlo. The reason we got together with them is because their daughter and my daughter were schoolmates.
Oh.
So, and the same with the Klutz girls were my daughter's
I've
age.
heard the Klutz name before.
And we got together with the Klutz while the men were working at the County Road Commission. And that's how we got acquainted. And Saturday nights or Friday nights, we always played cards and had coffee and cake or
Sure.
whatever, and just about every weekend.
Yeah.
That was our big social time, I guess.
Yeah, really, that's what families did, though.
Yeah, there wasn't.
When you said you went to Higgins Lake in the summer, did your family have a boat?
We had a boat for a while, yes. This family
Uh-huh.
had a boat for a
When
while.
your children were
yeah.
young.
And they'd go riding around. I put a motor on and rode around, and I guess they even went fishing. I never went with
Your
him.
husband was a fisherman. Did he ice fish?
A couple of winters, yeah. He went ice fishing. He had his own little cabin,
Yeah, the good old shanties.
and yeah.
Well, you had a nice life here, didn't you?
we also
You still are.
we had ice house for refrigeration. He built the ice. Well, it was made out of logs and sawdust mostly. Wasn't no top to it, but we'd take
Here
up ice.
or your mother and dad?
Here.
Here you did?
Oh yeah, first
Really?
few years.
Well, when
yeah.
did you get electricity out here?
Oh, we had electricity soon after we built this house.
Did you?
But we didn't have refrigerator. That's the first couple of years either.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford it. I
Sure.
remember the first wash machine I got.
Oh, I bet you do. It had to be a major event.
I was married a good 3-4 years before I had a
Think
wash
of all
machine.
those diapers you did
Yeah, for two of
before
them.
that, for two babies at once, yeah.
Yeah, that was
Isn't
a
that
lot of
something?
work.
Sure.
No dryer. Yeah, everything hung out or headlines up in the house here to
Yeah.
dry clothes.
Now, do you have a basement?
Oh yeah.
You do have a basement, so that's a
Yeah.
nice help, too.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say that you are quite the little native here. It's very interesting. You stayed in this area
All my life.
all your
Mhm,
life
yeah.
in this area.
The only time I lived away was during the war. My husband worked in a Olds factory in Lansing,
Oh.
making airplanes and parts. I think it was propellers they were making. I lived down there 2 years, and I
Did you just
couldn't
close
like it.
this up?
Till somebody broke in and stole things, you know.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't move all our stuff down. But then I came back with the children.
Were his parents still alive then?
Yeah. And I, for 1 year, I guess, no, more than a year. He was down there 3 years, and for more than a year I was here alone with the children. He'd come home every 2 weeks or so for a weekend whenever his time was off, got time off. But
The war changed a lot of lives, didn't it?
oh yes. And it was after that, Carl was born. It was quite a few years after that. Lois was a baby at that time.
So Carl's your baby boomer.
Yeah, he was my baby.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, is there anything else about things in town? Do you remember the Gallimore boarding house?
No, I don't.
Not really?
Don't remember much about that. No. I
No.
did know just about everybody in town though at that time,
Sure you
and the
would've.
neighbors around. Yeah. But
And you must have been here when they tore the county building down, the old county building. It was up on the hill. It's a jail, it's a separate
Oh,
building.
that
The
was
courthouse.
that was a big deal. In fact, in the 9th grade, we did. Let's see, I was sewing class at that time in home ec, and I think we had classes there upstairs in the old courthouse.
No kidding. Oh, I never heard that.
Yeah, there's a room in the back that was,
Really?
for about a half a year until the school. See, they were still building a school when I was in 9th grade.
Okay.
Because some of the classes I had in the old school,
And then some in the new.
and well, I didn't get into
And
the
then
new
you
until
did
the
class.
following half a year.
Uh-huh.
Half a year was went into the old building, and of course there wasn't room for all these classes in the old building. So we had classes in the courthouse. Yes, I remember him tearing that down. I think I have a picture of it somewhere of the old courthouse and the jailhouse. Yeah,
The big building looked
that
so
was
nice.
good. I don't remember when they added on to the old courthouse, but at one time it was smaller, and then they added on part of it. Someone told me that, and it showed in the picture also. And Francis Murphy was a sheriff at that time. And I remember him when he was canvassing. He'd come around to all the people.
Did you come out here?
Well, I was at home at that time,
Oh,
and
at your mother and
they'd
dad's.
give you a candy bar and cigar for the men, you know.
Sure. Isn't that something?
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
No.
Yeah. No, right now I enjoy the neighbors. They have a greenhouse,
Yes, isn't that nice?
and the turkeys come up one driveway and down the other.
Do they really?
23 of them here, and the deer are
There's a
around.
lot of deer here.
And when I was young, we didn't have deer around. All we had was the fox and some of them smaller animals around. Fox were after the chickens.
Sure.
So it's
So when you were first here, this had to be all, these trees have to all grown up since you're here.
we cleared all this land.
Did you really?
This is all clear. This is all woods, yeah. And they mostly were poplar. Of course, there was some oak trees. Well, some of the oak trees are gone now too, but there's some oaks. But this is all poplar. We had cleared all this around here.
That
whole
was a lot of
thing.
work.
Husband had built a doodle bug. You know what a doodle bug is?
No, tell me what that is.
It's parts of engines from old cars and stuff. We use that to pull the stumps and then, oh yeah.
Was it part tractor and part?
No, part
Whatever.
car, part
Whatever.
whatever. We could just call it a doodle bug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you must have had tractors for all that farming.
Afterwards, yeah, but I remember the doodle bug mostly because the kids enjoyed that.
Sure.
We let them. We used to take the doodle bug and we had to put a trailer in the back and we'd ride down to the cut down behind Willis.
Oh, sure.
And kids went fishing.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes they went swimming, but I had to quit that because they got itches from the water.
Did they? The swimmers there?
But yeah, the kids like to go fishing down there in the cut. But the kids had a lot of fun. They had,
Well, sure.
Lots
It's
of
a
things
wonderful
to
place
do.
to grow up.
and they had neighbors. There was neighbors over here, Hinmans, and Oh, gee. Uh, they lived different. Well, they lived over here at one time. They lived over here at the Baldwins, where Baldwins used to live. Scott's
that
live
the
there
corner
now,
one? Oh.
or next to Scott's in that corner house.
Okay.
The G'day kid boys. They had, and the boys would get together and play ball, and they had their own little ball
Sure,
club.
sure.
And, see, Almonds. I don't remember all the children's names, but they had their friends.
Yeah, I bet it was real nice. Well, you have been here so long.
I can't think of much anything.
Yeah, when you went into town for school was the main thing. You went into town as a youngster, apparently.
Before I went to town to school, I hardly ever went to town, but I can remember going with my dad a couple of times in the wintertime with a horse and sleigh. I almost froze.
Yeah.
It was 5 miles, but I didn't go too often because it was too cold. And I did go with him in a truck, a Ford truck with some, when he went bought groceries.
See, you were not born until 1917. I was going to ask you about that one old hotel, but that was before your time.
The only hotel was what is this Spruce Lodge now. That's always been there. And as Kylie Gibbons lived next to that hotel up the hill, and I think there was another house. Peterson's was a minister at that time to the Congregational Church. The Congregational Church is up there in the stone building.
Wasn't that a cute building? It's a shame they had to take that down.
I think Marsh, I don't know what his first name was, built that building. It was a stone church. Yeah. I remember that.
The Marsh family, were they near around here? No, they weren't.
Marsh, you're talking about Marie Marsh and them. You remember Marie Marsh, don't
Yeah.
you? It would be
Her
her
father-in-law.
in-law, yeah. I don't remember what his name was, but yeah.
That was Norm. Her husband was
it
Keith.
Norm? Her husband was Keith, yeah. Must have been Norm Marsh. But and I don't know if it was another generation that built it or but the name was Marsh, I remember. And I remember the bank has always been that corner. Behind that, Mr. Shepherd had a lumber yard. Now, I think, after that, it turned into Waterman's had it for some kind of a factory. And on top of the hill was the water tower.
The water tower, yeah. Oh, I didn't know that Shepherds have had that.
Not very long, because my husband worked for him for a while there after he lost his first job.
Oh, okay.
And that's helped.
What kind of factory was it? Oh, you said it was a lumber place.
Yeah, not Dutch, but what's his name? Jack? Was it Jack Shepherd? I can't remember for sure what his name
Would have been a brother
It was a
to
brother to Dutch, yeah. Anyway, they had a lumber yard there for a while, not too long, but that must have been right after or soon after Claude LaRock's lumber yard burned down.
That was in 63.
No, it must have been earlier than that. Was it 63?
61.
Yeah, it must have been in that air time.
Well,
sometime
how
then.
long, when did your husband pass away?
74.
74.
Oh, 74? Yeah, he's been gone 26 years.
Okay. Did he work right until he died, or did he have some retirement years?
No, he wasn't old enough to retire. He was only 64.
So he was born in 1910?
He had a heart problem, had a heart attack, then he had surgery, and then he had a stroke, and a couple of years later he died.
So he worked pretty much until he had had
In the
heart
last
attack,
2 years,
huh?
yeah, last 2 years. He went back to work after he had his surgery, though. But
Where was he working at that time?
for the County Road
Oh,
Commission.
still for the county,
Mhm,
back to the
yeah.
county road.
He must have worked for the good 25 years or more
Oh, okay.
for the state or and county,
Mhm.
you know.
Well, they were good employers.
He
There were a lot of
drove,
roads to be built.
He drove a lot of snowplow. He drove the big trucks,
Yeah.
and he drove the crane. And there's another machine that he drove. He helped build this road out here.
Well, that was a handy thing. He made sure they got that right.
Well, uh, him and Richardson surveyed the area of the road that went up around the Pioneer Hill
Oh.
Road. Yeah, helped build that.
Did he work for Richardson at the time, or for
No.
for the state or the county?
For the
Yeah, for the government.
county here, yeah.
Yeah, that had to keep a lot of people busy to build all those roads.
Yeah. Well, he worked pretty steady.
Yeah.
Um,
About 20 years, you said?
good 25, almost 30, I think, if you count all the years together
Mhm.
between the state and the county.
Very good. Well, do you think we've covered Roscommon history pretty good?
I think probably. I can't think of anything.
Were you ever involved with Garrish Township?
No,
Government stuff?
I never went
No.
into politics. I don't like
No, you
politics.
stay clear of that, huh?
Nothing to do with politics.
Oh, that's good. Well, what else do we have on here? What kind of trips, did you ever take faraway trips?
Oh. Well, we, after, Carl was about 12 years old, and husband built a camping trailer with a
He built
canvas.
a camping trailer.
With
He
a
was-
canvas on top.
wasn't
Well, he did everything.
He did.
And we went up the Upper Peninsula several times, and the big trip, Carl was about 12 years old. We went through Wisconsin, through the Red River Valley up into South Dakota and the Badlands, and
That was quite a trip.
Mount Rushmore and the Yellowstone Park.
Oh my gosh, you did them all.
But we only had 2 weeks to do it in, so we were on the road every day practically.
Yeah.
But that was quite an experience.
sure was.
Yeah.
And were your 2 older boys with you
No,
then?
no, just Carl.
Oh, just Carl.
Yeah, that's-
Lois, not Olga.
They were all gone by that time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Or pretty
What
well.
year
I
was
don't
Carl
know.
born?
He was born in 1948.
Oh, okay, so that was in 1960.
Yeah.
He was
about-
12. So the Mackinac Bridge was already off by then.
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
But we did go up to the UP when just went by boat across the.
Oh, at Ludington.
Yeah. Oh, we also went to Mackinac Island once. We made a few trips.
Mhm.
And we went to Chicago to visit a cousin, and into Elgin to
Mhm.
find out where his folks lived.
Yeah.
And he had a cousin over there that we visited.
Okay.
So,
When did his folks pass away? Approximately.
well, his mother died in 1950, I think it was, and his father in 59.
So what happened to that property then?
It got sold.
Oh, it was sold?
Mhm.
Okay.
I don't know who the people, who they are.
Who
or-
owns it now? No.
who owns it.
It's nice land though, it's beautiful land there.
I think their son, I think the husband died that bought it, the people that bought the husband died, and I think the son owns it now. I'm not sure, but I think that's a 20-acre parcel too.
Mhm. Yeah. Be a nice one to fix up.
Yeah, it's,
It's a cute,
the
cute
bus
place.
goes and this mail goes that way too, I
Mhm.
think.
Oh, yeah.
It's, at that time, it was none but a trail. In fact, the trail ended there.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah,
From town, you mean?
From this road here.
From Oakwood to over on Verdell. Okay.
It ended up there.
Oh,
After that, it was all sand trail up the rest of the way.
I believe that, up that hill or something.
It was all sand trail.
Yeah. Well, we certainly thank you for all this wonderful information about what it was like to grow up in Roscommon. Well, actually, out in the country you grew up.
You grew up in the country, in the sticks, we called it.
Yeah, did you?
And a lot of the other people that time, too, you know, they all lived and grew all in the same boat.
Sure.
More or less.
Sure. It's amazing that they were able to farm at all.
Well, that was a big joke.
Yeah. Well, it was no joke for when it ruined their living.
Yeah, they thought
You
they
know.
could make a living of farming, but
Not so.
no.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.